And welcome back to the Joyous Journeys in Life and Business podcast. Today, I feel so fortunate to be interviewing one of my bestest friends who I just absolutely adore. She is what I call my greatest gift to come out of COVID, the pandemic, as she made a life pivot, and so did I. We linked arms, and we've been running forward into the future together ever since. And so I'd love to welcome on Rebecca Ross. Welcome back.
Oh, Shaz, thank you. I love that. Linked arms and moving forward into the future. Yes, we are down the yellow brick road.
We really have, and we really did, and we really are, aren't we? It's just,
Yeah.
it's been such a great evolution, and so much of a beautiful partnership with Beck being such an amazing, well, she's a generator for those who understand human design. So she's definitely been life force energy for me over the last few years. She's healed me. She's held me through some pretty big stuff. And I've been deeply honored to be able to reciprocate with her big life pivot, which we're going to talk about. But before we do, let me officially welcome you back to the podcast. It's so great to have you here. For those of you who don't know Beck, she is a mover, a healer, and shaker. She's an intuitive coach and mentor, yoga and movement facilitator, focusing on connecting community and sharing embodiment practices. Rebecca works one-to-one with clients in a coaching, healing, and mentoring capacity, and facilitates group movement, yoga, and healing events, immersions, circles, and retreats. She loves to embody and share the practices of ritual, ceremony, and the sacred healing arts. After owning her own successful dance studio business for 17 years, Rebecca was at the same time going through her own healing crisis and reclaiming of the sacred arts, yoga, meditation, healing, movement, and ritual. Rebecca Ross Sacred BIZ is where all these streams weave together to create a majestic and colourful tapestry. Indeed, they do, making art with life. Rebecca values community, connection, creativity. There is nothing more powerful than a group of women coming together. Thank you, Beck, and warm welcome to you coming onto the podcast.
Hey, woman, sister.
How does that feel listening back to that? Because I know you've only just recently reviewed it. How does that feel?
Yeah, that feels really amazing. It feels like a full declaration to the universe and a reclaiming of that sisterhood, that goddess energy. It feels pretty epic, I've got to say. So thank you for reading that out, because I was like, damn, girl.
Let that land. I
Let
love
that
it.
just come on in. And the whole time my body was singing, going, yes, yes. I was wanting to have a little dance.
Of course it was. That's what your body does naturally, a lot.
Yeah, it's
so
true.
On that, like, you know, Beck, after 17 years of being a dance studio owner, you have navigated through a huge life transition over the past few years. How did that come about, and how did you go about making that huge life shift?
Oh, there's so many layers to that question, of course. But I want to say initially that my body showed me. I want to say that there were nudges, there were signs, there were strands, there were synchronicities to the universe. And through working through my own, limiting thoughts and beliefs and programs in relation to what success and failure look like, I had to really reframe what that was. And once I kind of softened the energy of that, I was really able to find the self-permission to make changes, and then the willingness and the courage to step forward with that. So when I say my body showed me, there was a lot of, I guess I want to say chronic dis-ease in the body that was showing up. My nervous system was shot, my adrenals were shot. And then there was a lot of chronic kind of symptoms that were really starting to come through on top of each other, one after the other. Um, so there was a plan in place for me to sell the business, and there was many layers of unfolding as I let go of the attachment and the identity that my work, I guess, reflected back at me, mirrored back at me.
Mm.
It made me feel very purposeful. So then, of course, the question is, who am I without that? And I was willing to go there. I was willing to ask those deep questions. Probably a huge pivotal moment was, where everything kind of really came to a head for me was when I took myself off to India to go to a Ayurvedic, healing. I guess, it was a retreat, so to speak, but they call it panchakarma, and it's like where you completely rid your body of toxins, shift things, go through all these processes, these healing kind of processes, with all under the guidance of a Ayurvedic doctor. Whilst going through that process, there were many moments where I felt amazing and things were clearing and shifting in my physical body and my emotional body, my spiritual body, my energy body. But I also contracted dengue fever. I made it home only just. I was really concerned for my life, I want to say, when I was in India. I was concerned. I made it home, and then that was about in September, and probably for the next 6 to 12 months, there was this huge unraveling for me, as those symptoms of dengue fever played out in my life. And this is also when COVID kicked in. So you can imagine this huge, big kind of reset. And what they kind of speak to these days, or what people speak to this about, is what's called like a soul retrieval or a soul revolution. And it's where in your life, in the moment that you're living in your life, you can actually reclaim and retrieve more of your soul's essence. And you can also rotate out a soul. You can also kind of shift out karmic binds and karmic patterns that perhaps were playing out in your life, and actually clear them and cleanse them off. So it's like a mini death. There is like a death that happens. And I felt that in every part of my being. I felt that there was a revolution of my soul. The only thing that happened was that I didn't die. I was still alive. So this all happened whilst navigating, selling the business, being a single mum to teenagers, and doing the best that I could to really honor and support the process that I was going through without judgment or criticism, and without thinking to myself, what's wrong with you? Get better, like move on, like start living life, like how long is this going to go on for, without it needing to be different.
Yeah.
So it kind of happened by default, but it was a plan that I kind of had in place for about 4 years, that I needed to sell the business. I needed to shift. I knew that my energy was in some way, I knew that I was running on empty, and dance is something that I'm so passionate about. So I felt like I was doing it a disservice, if that makes sense. I felt like I was, not honoring dance and the studio and the community that I'd built to the full capacity of what I could. And that really kind of hurt me in a way that was like, I need someone else needs to come in here. That's the message that I kept getting. I need to let go. I need to soften. I need to let go of the reins. I need to step back because someone else needs to come through. And they're huge messages to get, because you second guess them and you think, no, this is my life's work. No, like I've built this up for 17 years. No, my children have grown up here. Like,
Yeah.
you think all of those things, and then to be able to soften the binds and relax the attachments to all of those stories was huge.
Yeah. Massive. So, I mean, part of that, you really faced your own mortality.
100%. I I definitely walked, I guess what you would call, through the catacombs of um the shadows, like through transformation, through, I guess, if you're going to speak on those realms, for me it was like a shape-shifting moment. It was like where things transformed, and I literally shape-shifted. I morphed from one version, and it was a very real, physical, tangible experience. Perhaps other people would do it in a more subtle way. I've never been one for subtleties, and that's a part of myself that I get a little bit frustrated with sometimes, because I think to myself, why does it have to be so intense? But I also know that I wouldn't have listened, or I wouldn't have got it to the full level, the full extent that I needed to get the picture.
Mm.
Um, I called in a lot of support at that time. I worked with, you know, Reiki, energy healers, acupuncture, a naturopath. I was working with all the women, kinesiology. I had a team around me, and I just literally put my hand up all the time
Mm.
for support, and they really, I guess, helped me to see that what I was going through was huge, and
Yeah.
to forgive myself for it, because there was a lot of initial guilt and blame that I would project back onto myself. Why are you like this? Why are you sick? Why are why are you going through this? Like, can't you just be normal? The answer is no.
Apparently not. Oh, it was so huge. I mean, obviously we did know each other then as you were going through that, but and it, as someone who hadn't known you for very long, but could see that there was definitely a death of some kind happening, was, from the outside looking in, was even, very it was obvious from the outside looking in, the pain, that you were working through was deep stuff. It wasn't a surface layer thing, but
Mm.
yeah.
And I still remember kind of being, I do remember calling in. This is probably where I established my relationship with faith, to be honest. Like, it's, or re-established it, let's say, re-established
Yeah.
that relationship with faith. I remember calling in very clearly the angel of faith, because I remember feeling afraid. I remember feeling afraid for what was happening in my body and what I was experiencing. And I remember, communicating and praying clearly to my guides and to the universe for support. And I kind of can feel, my grandmother, my nan, really stepped forward for me at that time, and that was affirmed through, a few people that I was working with, and just held my hand through as I navigated through the dark, I want to say, the dark shadows of the aspects of self, but it was in a very real, tangible way. And
Mm.
also what came to light was that I had done this before, in another life, that I had actually navigated through, that this was a process that I'd been through before, and that I will come out the other side. So the mantra that kind of came through was, this too will pass. This will shift. Don't be stuck in it. Don't be caught into it. Don't make it a story about who you are and what you're here to do. You are moving through it, and you just got to kind of really fall back into the arms of the universe, and that energy of faith, that unwavering faith. And that
That
was a
it's
really
just a
nice.
season, just really
Yeah, yeah,
trusting that it's just a
100%.
season. Mm.
Yes,
Mm.
yes. And I have to say, moving forward from that I've really, really started to get the subtle signs a little bit earlier, and to really flow with the energy of the seasons, and to do my best to not make up stories about them, to make them about me, to actually just really trust in the nature of our cycles.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. Look, I know
Mm.
that you talk a lot about tools, practices, strategies to reclaim your energy, right? That's been a big part of your journey. Which of these do you find the most effective?
Mm.
And, firstly for yourself, but also, for soul-led women in business, because I know that you do support a lot of soul-led women who are in business, be it for themselves or for others. And what recommendations do you have for our listeners who may be resistant to help, with implementing these?
Mm, mm. Yeah, I think it's the reintegration that the tools and the practices to bring you to wind your energy back in, which to me looks like coming back home to your body. It looks like taking the energy out of your head, your mind, taking the energy out of the thinking mind and out of the things, out of the to-do list and the things that are outside of you, and winding back all those tentacles. I talk a lot about the octopus tentacles and the
I
energy of
love
the
the
octopus.
octopus.
Yeah, I have a shirt with an octopus and I just wear it all the time as a little reminder.
Roll
And
them in.
really, yes, winding them back in. So to
Mm.
me, the the key thing that I can probably share with people is that the simpler this is, the better. This is not some complex kind of, energy medicine practice slash meditation slash whatever. Like it can be if you have the
Mm.
time space reality, but who does, right? It can be the most simplest thing as intentionally lighting a candle in the morning because I love ritual, I love sacred space. So lighting a candle in the morning with the intention of just taking, 5 to 10 deep full breaths and looking at the light of that candle and in some way receiving the energy of it to the inside, allowing that candle to guide you back in and perhaps seeing the light of that flame in your heart, in your belly, in your third eye, embodying it will be enough. If that's like 2 minutes of your morning where you can do that, you can light some incense. Maybe you grab an oil. At the moment, it's frankincense for me. I'm obsessed. It's just one
Mm.
drop and I just sniff it, and there is this instant kind of chemical reaction in my brain that allows anything that I'm kind of carrying to shift away.
Mm.
That would be a start. You can then I have a meditation or a pranayama practice, but I like to use breath and movement in a really tangible way. So I may put on a song. I may be like, okay, what am I feeling? Maybe it's my angry song.
Yeah.
Maybe it's my slow, juicy song. But I always think about, am I feeling energized and am I needing to settle my energy, or am I feeling really depleted and lethargic and I'm needing to somewhat lift my energy? And then I always want to bring myself into a state of balance with where my energy's at. So if I'm frazzled and everything's out, then the movement is going to be gentle and more about coming back in just by like taking a breath and then doing a slower and a deeper exhalation. The the awareness and the focus on breath is key to life. It's key to
Mm.
shifting perspective, energy, awareness, attention. It's just key because even by taking a breath in, you can bring your awareness down into your womb or down into your belly, and you can tangibly feel that. That's my inhalation. And
Mm.
then and then that's my exhalation. And already you've landed just one breath in. So 5 to 10 of those beautiful, deep, full breaths where you're filling yourself up with the breath of life
Mm.
is to me, that can shift everything. If we can, you know, give self permission to have like this 5 minute, and I like to set my phone, like I like to, like every 2 hours, or, Sharon, we work in flow sessions, like
Yeah.
those 5 minutes are me getting up and either shaking my body, breathing, drinking
Thymus tapping.
intentional water. Yeah, thymus tapping, 100%. And there you go. That's another practice I like to
Yeah.
do. I have a little prayer that I say out loud. I tap my thymus whilst doing it. This is my immunity. This is my life force energy. So I wake that up. I say my little prayer, and I might move about while I'm saying it, because movement for me just creates this real sense of embodiment, this real sense of owning what I'm
Aliveness.
doing and saying, yeah. And it's not just a mental, I'm not just practicing pranayama or a meditation. I'm actually doing a movement meditation. And like that's 5 minutes. You can do that in 5 minutes. The other thing that I would say is really powerful that I've used intentionally, daily, I use it, is intentional bathing, intentional showering. So at the end of the day, when I'm getting in the shower, if it's first thing in the morning, I will intentionally shower and imagine that I've got golden or silver or clearing white energy with the water, and I'm clearing any residue on my body or in my body. And I say the words clear, clear, until I just feel it, and then I watch it go down the drain. And I really imagine that I'm a channel, or I'm a conduit, or I'm a vessel, and that what is flowing through me is clear and pristine, like a the energy of a waterfall, like just that beautiful, pristine life force energy.
Yeah.
And that is amazing. That is something that you can do. We
When
all
you're taking your
shower or
shower
bathe
every
every day.
day.
Yeah. It's just
Yeah, I
adding the
love that one.
intention.
I've always
Yeah.
had, since birthing babies, that first shower of the day when I was bloody and milky and sweaty and spewy and pooey. I learned that one as a new mum, and I would say to my husband, oh, showers make everything feel better. Even I can remember those first showers after all three of my babies, delivering, and just letting that water just wash and heal and cleanse. And so I can really relate to that one. It's been one that I definitely have practiced even before I entered, this part of my life where I was far less mindful and I was quite frazzled, but the showers always were sacred, always. It's a beautiful thing.
And it's almost like a rebirth. It's an opportunity to really come back, and to then the beautiful things about retreating or taking time for self, even if it's like the smallest little window, is that you always step back out into life, or into the doing, or into the action, or into what's needed with fresh eyes. There is a freshness, and that's what it is. It's like just a little bit of a shedding of a skin that perhaps is built up. And I see this a lot with clients. There's just this, we're so full. So the attention and the practice of emptying out all the stuff is I feel really relevant, and needs attention at the moment. Or it always does, but it just feels really relevant right now. Really loud in people's energy.
Yeah. You're such a great example of someone who walks their talk. Like that to me, when I think about you and the way that you live, you walk your talk like every day. And what I mean by that is, I never see you as that guru. It's more like the earthly person who is so human, but also has these wonderful practices and tools and ways of being that balance the ways of doing. And, I'd just love if we can have a little bit more of a peek. I know that you did say, it's that you light the candle in the morning as part of your practice. What other little practices do you do when no one's watching? Because I know that you do these things. What other practices do you do when no one's watching, you personally, to cultivate energy? So, and obviously we know the shower, but what,
Yeah.
what other things do you do?
Yeah, look, it's about communing, you know? Anything that to me is a simple honoring and a communing of my spirit, and that opens up the field, that makes the field of my spirit permeable and makes me feel, sense and experience how I am then connected to my environment, or I am connected to the bigger perspective of nature and source in the universe. I'm all in. So sage, I always light sage and I say a little prayer. I love sacred art. I have a lot of, I guess, what you would call sacred. They're sacred because of the intention that I give them, but also because of the way that they were created and the people that they came from. There is a sacred element and an energy to it. I'm a Libran and I'm ruled by Venus, and I really love beautiful things. I don't know whether it's just my past lives in a temple as a priestess where, all the beautiful things were there. I don't know what it is, but I
You're
love that
just the
energy.
priestess.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's just keep it real. Yes. Um, I will. For me, it's the beautiful thing of like rolling out my yoga mat, and the way it just rolls out, and then I have my meditation cushion. So I will do a bit of a movement practice first. Sometimes it's 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Sometimes it's an hour. It's like just whatever intuitively needs to happen. Um, and I've grown to that because I've been very strict with my practices previously because that's just my nature. Think ballet, think
Yeah,
ballet school.
I just want to hover on that for a bit because, I just want to say to the soul-led women listening, Beck is a beautiful example of somebody who's earthly, who, has such grit and humanness, but also has this beautiful sense of high standards and pride. And just that being beautiful without coming from a place of force. And I think that, particularly, I'm sure that you'll get where I'm going with this, Beck, is there's almost been in, particularly in the soul business world, this rejection of, you don't need to have standards. And I love that you stand for things, that you have this beautiful belief in standards, as well as this earthliness, that there is, and of course I love this because it's messy middle stuff, right? But I just love it that there are things in your life that you are unwavering on.
100%. My brother would call it conscious effort. Conscious effort is the things where you do the thing because of the value that rolls out into your life. And this is my, some of my mantras are: how you do one thing is how you do everything. How you roll out that yoga mat in the morning, how you make your bed. Like that is something that I will do every single morning, and I will never not make my bed. And it's not like I hold myself, I punish myself, but it's just like, no, that's just a thing that I do. It's like, that's my space, that's my sanctuary, that's my temple. Of course I'm going to clean that up. I'm not going to leave that messy and that energy needs to clear and shift and clean.
And it
And
does.
that's really,
My bed
yeah.
is not made right now. My room is not tidy right now. I'm not proud of my room right now. And it has got me having this funky energy, because that is also a value that I share, that knowing that when that's off, that physical space, and also that, that place that's sacrosanct, it's where we lay down at night, like it really is, it's a sacred space, and so it should be treated as such. Like it's a big deal.
Like I'm thinking about things like, cleaning out the fridge, like when you've got old food or adds, old stagnant energy, or there's a pile of washing that's been sitting in the one spot for a whole week. And I like, this happens for me, like
Mm,
100%, but I know they're indicators to me that the energy is out of balance. And I
mm,
know that I need to rebalance, because this winds back into everything is sacred. This is what Tantra is. The sacred is in the everyday life, which is therefore that is your purpose. Your
mm,
purpose is your presence. Your purpose is the way that you show up on the everyday life things. And
mm,
that's the magic.
mm.
That's living life. That's living life on purpose. It's those everyday moments, and we run away from those. We run far and wide.
Yeah.
No, give
We
me
make
other stuff.
excuses because my
Yeah,
soul told me not to.
yeah. Give me other stuff that feels much, much better.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to. I don't want to do that stuff.
There's got to be a balance, right? Like there really
Mm.
does. I mean, there's one thing about being completely anally retentive about it and obsessing over
Yeah.
it, or, having an unhealthy relationship with what's clean and organized and in place. But there's
Yes.
also, a beautiful balance that you can find between impeccability and also the bringing of, our other, perhaps
Mm.
soulful wants or needs, or the other side.
I make little deals with myself. Like I know, like even though I made my bedroom is a bit like yours, because you've been away and so have I,
Mm.
and I've got stuff on the floor, and and there's washing on the thing, and I make a little deal with myself, because I also know the value of understanding that the energy to do those things is going to come.
Yeah.
And when I'm not in the energy of it, I'm not going to force myself to be, I'm not going to like punish myself by pushing against that. I'm
Mm.
in a flow of something else right now. So I kind of make these little, like, I have these little conversations with spirit, with myself. Like, I see that, I know it's there. I know it's something I need to attend to. I'm not pushing it away. I'm not hiding or running from it. I'm identifying it. I see you, I spot you. The energy for that's going to come. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'll stand up in our flow sessions when we've got 5 minute break, and I'll fold washing. I'll
Yeah.
just step back into that. Okay, right. Fold washing. That's the kids. Like, da da da. I'll sort stuff, because that feels
Yeah.
really, yeah, it feels really good for me. Like, I want to say it feels like I'm winning on a human level.
Yeah. Well, it's nourishing to know what it's
Yeah,
like when it's done, like it's
yeah.
that feeling, that sense of satisfaction, that relief, that, you clean and clear feeling that you talk about
Oh,
often in so many ways, that we get when, we've cleaned and cleared our energy field of the pile of washing that needs folding, you know?
yeah. And that's a very real, tangible expression of that energy. And on the reverse of that, I don't beat myself up. I don't
Yeah.
beat myself up about that shit that's sitting there. Like,
Yeah.
I've done that. I've made it into, things where I'm obviously, feeling like I'm not winning as being a human.
Mm.
And it's about the flow and the balance, and being able to dance in between the spaces where you can flow through life, being really called to what, intuitively needs your attention, but then also having the structure and the capacity to spot when you're you're not fully showing up. You're not fully
Yeah.
showing up on those in those moments
Making
that really matter.
excuses.
And yeah,
Yeah.
because this is more
Blaming other
important.
things. Yeah.
Yeah,
Making excuses, blaming, and
yeah.
it's usually, someone else or something external, instead of,
Mm,
it's like that I talk
mm,
about responsibility. Like your
mm.
responsibility is your responsibility, actually
Yes.
owning that. And sometimes the response sounds like, as you say, actually the energy for that is going to come, and right now I'm not in the energy of that, and I just need to leave
Yeah.
that and tend to this, and that will
Yes.
come. But it's about owning it and taking that responsibility for the way that we respond to all of the things. It's
Mm,
huge.
mm, mm. You know, sometimes I see it like, you know, there's green lights that kind of go on. And until, like, I really like to intuitively um, feel into what energy, where am I at with that thing or that task or that thing that I'm giving my attention to. And you would know, because I've spoken to you about this previously. When you know you should be doing something for your business, you know you should be showing up in a certain way, but it's just not there. The energy is not there, and you kind of um, you're kind of in a different place with it, and you're circulating and you're spiraling, and maybe you make up a story about it, or maybe there's some stuff that you need to look at,
Yeah.
or maybe you just need to step back and have space.
Mm.
And I've seen time and time again, you know, when I have, you know, the programming is, no, you've got to do the thing, you've got to keep going, you've got to push through, you've got to climb the mountain, you've got to get to the top of the mountain, you know, one hard thing at a time, and make sure your backpack's really heavy and you're carrying all those stones up, because man, if you're not, then you haven't made it, you know, like this kind of
Yeah.
slogging feeling. And man, it just feels, to me, actually, it feels toxic in my body.
Yeah.
Like I have a toxicity. I just think, oh, like I have
Yeah.
PTSD from it or something. I don't know, of living my life like that.
Yeah.
So when, you know, we had a conversation about this a while ago, and you just said to me, is it the permission that you need? Like, what do you need? And
Mm.
it was like, yeah, it is that. It is that permission. I'm showing up because I said I was going to show up. And you said to me, you don't need to do that. And instantly, it's like you let yourself off that hook, that high hook.
Yeah.
And this is where, oh, it's so tricky to find that balance.
It
And when
is.
I let myself off that hook, when I gave it all up, so to speak,
Yeah.
the next day, the energy came in. The next day, there it was. Whew, green light flowing through, and everything worked out perfectly, even better than I
Yeah, I was
thought it
going to
would.
say, and the outcome for I know what you're talking about. I know that the program and things, you actually had like exponentially, you know, beyond expectations response.
100%. You know, just like, oh, just like that in one day. Okay,
Yeah.
great. And it just is like this, it's a recalibration, and it's a shifting out of the old paradigm. It's an unraveling of those old patterns. I guess the masculine way of doing things, which is beautiful. We need it in our life. It's not
Yeah.
that we don't need it, but we don't need to beat ourselves up and hold ourselves accountable, because our intuitive flow as women, we are creators. And the more that we can embody and create and flow from those spaces, oh God, the more magic it just time and time again, I feel it and I see it, the more magic just starts to flow through. But
Mm.
man, we got a hangover from that old paradigm.
Yeah.
We really do.
Yeah. And I think, you know, mixed messages, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
the messages, you know, they always seem to be so strong on either side, instead of, you know, my response is always like, well, it depends, you know, like we
Mm,
can, you know, when we have a true sense of balance, it, you know, we can let
mm,
go of rigidity on either way, on either
mm,
side, you know, because the arguments for both, as much as, you know, they think that they're different, they're actually very similar in that their arguments are so strong and down the line that they kind of don't allow for shades of gray when there are shades of gray. It's like, you
oh,
know, we need
and
standards, we
silver.
need action, we need
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
strategy, but on the other side, we need ease, we need flow, we need to return to what's true for us as individuals. We don't, you know, we don't have to fit in anybody's box. But finding that sweet spot is, well,
Constant
it's
recalibration.
constant. It is. And it's having the tools, you know, that are the things that you talk about, you know, that the ways, you know, and you're just such a great model of that, because, you know, so often I see, you know, this sense of leaning back to a state of what I want to say collapse, you know,
Yeah,
like to
Yeah.
to total just an utter collapse. And that's not serving people, that's not serving the community, that's not serving the people that you're here to serve. It's not even really serving yourself, because by doing that, you're not actually living your true life's purpose when we're in that
No.
state. So it's cultivating the equal parts spine and equal parts softness, like finding that spot that's in between.
Yeah. And we're humans. Like that's what being a human is. We're source energy, but we're in a human body, which is very structured. And the more that we can anchor, allow ourselves to anchor that energy, then the more security and stability and safeness we feel, to be able to roll through with our flow and our creativity. It's a very, very real, tangible experience. Yeah. And it is completely the reharmonizing and the rebalancing of those spheres of self.
Yeah. And I love that.
Mm.
You're an intuitive coach and healer. That's, I mean, you just do so many things so well. But, I just want to talk about your intuitive gifts, your intuitive coaching and healing. And I just wanted to, just get you to share how you help people through, as an intuitive coach, and what does a session with you look like, in case anyone's wondering, going, oh, that sounds a little bit woo. I don't know if she's for me. Because here's the thing that I just adore is, you are for the common people. You are for the average woman. You are, so grounded and, and human that, some people might be intimidated with working with somebody like yourself who has, integrated so many things into your life. What does an intuitive coach do? What does a session look like with you?
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about that question because it's really interesting. It's like, what actually is it?
What I actually do?
And I feel like, number one, it's a safe space. Like number one, that is really important. It's the temple setup. It's like the invitation in, and at this point in time, we're probably guessing or sensing that this person yet doesn't have the capacity to give themselves permission to navigate that journey on their own. So they come to me for a reflection, but also a guiding kind of, I feel like there's a torchlight, like there's a light that I hold, and perhaps it's like, usually what I find is the universe or the people that I'm seeing, there are themes, there are strands, and there are synchronicities that come through. And usually I write about these because I love to write, and it's always so interesting to me when I'm working with people and the same things are coming up. That kind of says to me that there's a universal theme that's unraveling for people right now. And when people come, it's like we have this kind of, there are two parts to the session usually. And part one is like what I call the emptying out or the unpacking. It's like the debrief. It's like, what is it that's happening in your life that's impacting you? What is the thing that's bugging on you right now? And we shine the light on that. What is that? What is that stuff, that juiciness, that stuff that perhaps you can't express it to other people in your life, or there's no one in your life at this point that can hold space for you to unpack that. And you might have a journaling practice and that gets it out, but there is something just so amazing about speaking out loud and naming it. There is this emptying that happens. There is this relief, this like, oh, and you don't even recognize that you've been carrying it. You've been carrying that energy with you. You've been trying to work it out. And that's the thing. We can't work this stuff out. It's deeper. It's more. So
Yeah.
there's that aspect that happens, I call it, I guess, like the spiritual council. It's like you would go to a priest, you sit and I hold space and we just slowly kind of explore. Sometimes I feel like an explorer or an adventurer, and in my backpack is my tools, my energetic practices, my ability to be able to intuitively hone in on something. It may be just one little sentence that they say, but in my mind that really lights up, or I get a little like ting ting ting, like go
Yeah.
back to that, and I get guided towards what needs to kind of, and I say, oh, let's talk about that. What's that aspect? And we pull that piece out. So it's like this little, let's pull it out. Let's pull it out of you because you're
Mm.
holding it, right? And let's understand that it's not you, that it's something outside of you and that you are not it. So let's pull it out and let's have a look at it. Like, let's unpack it.
Mm.
And we then may do a process, or I may do a letting go process, or something where we unravel the energy of that thing.
Yeah.
um, and then we always pull cards in relation to what is happening. They intuitively pick the cards, and then we dive deeper. The cards are kind of another tool that allows us to adventure in deeper down the journey or the pathway that we're going down.
Yeah.
And once we kind of feel ready for that, I will get, most of the time I will get my clients on the table if we're in person. But I do this online as well. And we will journey through the chakras, with my healing tools. We will journey through the different parts of the body. Maybe they tell me where they're feeling that energy, like it might be
Mm.
the heart or the hip or the back or the right foot, or I may sense something, and we will work to process, identify, shift, and clear that energy. And then it's like a tune up. Our bodies are like a tuning fork, an instrument of the universe. So we want to be in finely tuned harmony and energetic vibration and resonance with, our highest truth and our highest capacity.
Mm.
So I use sound, I use crystals, I use oils, and I use a bit of a process of going through each chakra to unblock and unstuck, any stagnant or stuck energy.
Mm.
And the whole kind of, I guess, process on the table for me is to draw down more of your source and to allow that to anchor through your body and into your Earth Star chakra, which is underneath your feet. So more of you is being anchored. You are owning and embodying more of your light energy. So that's kind of like the two parts of the session. If you're in person, it goes for a couple of hours because of those two parts that get put together.
Wow.
Um, I find it really powerful to do the unpacking before the healing.
It's like the coaching and the healing.
100%.
Mm.
Yeah. And it's the feelings or the signs or the things that I get is I will feel it in my body. I will get a tangible like flush of energy, or I'll feel a tightness in my chest, or I'll feel sick, or I'll be like, oh, I'm feeling that here. And I'll get the messages through my body as well. So my body is like showing me where we need to be guided to. And it's just this kind of opportunity for the onion layers, the layers to be peeled back so that the nervous system, which is really where all our healing needs to, all our resetting and our recalibration, our healing needs to take place right now. The nervous system can settle. There is this, people kind of get up from the table and they're just like, whoa, like it's this full recalibration of the nervous energy into this space where healing happens.
Mm.
And it's only when we relax and let go that deep healing and transformation can start to take place.
Yeah.
You got to kind of unpack the surface layer and then invite people in. And I think that's really what I do. I hold the space for that to happen.
Mm.
Mm.
Yes, there are. I can definitely attest that your sessions are very, very powerful. I've had quite a few of them over the last couple of years, and yeah, it really is. It's quite an incredible thing. But I mean, that's the thing, is like, as an intuitive, you work with the moment. It's
Mm.
like where people are at
Mm.
the moment, and there's that guidance that comes through. And I know even more recently, I've had you in my back pocket for each full moon, providing me with a private
Mm.
reading each full moon. And what's come through there for me
Mm.
personally, as somebody who I would like to say conscious, it's just been really, really affirmative. Like, yes, thank you for confirming that. That's what I've been
Mm.
thinking about. Yep, that all makes sense. So it's
Mm.
incredibly affirming. And but also the healing that has taken place has been incredible. Definitely as
Mm.
well for women in business who need their energy to be as clean and clear as they possibly can. Anyone who might be even holding on, like if you're a coach or a healer yourself, the need to
Yeah.
actually get assistance with your own cleaning and clearing of other people's energies is really, really important. And I don't say that as in my clients have toxic energy. They've got amazing energy. But for me,
Mm.
my energy is always so outward that I use Beck to help me bring it back into myself, and to bring, to settle that nervous system. And I mean, even on my COVID recovery journey that I'm still on, let's face it,
Mm.
but allowing that to reset and calm and soothe has just it's been incredible. But
Mm.
definitely powerful, from a business point of view, that it's like, yep, I need the channel to be clean and clear. I need that
Mm.
support. And it's just like, as a business coach, I have a business coach, right? And as if you're a coach or you're a healer and you work in this space, then it's
Mm.
equally as important for, don't think, if you're new in business, looking at being a coach or a healer, that therefore you're looking at yourself going, well, why can't I do this for myself? I can do it for other people, but why can't I do it for myself? You
Mm.
still need healers. You still need coaches to support you
100%.
through. And I know, Beck, you go and see, an energetic healer on a regular basis to help with your energy, as well as all those other modalities that we talked about, is a big part of your
Yeah.
self-care.
Mm. Mm. Oh, I couldn't do it without having your own team of support.
Yeah.
It's just necessary at the moment. It's just huge. There's a lot of up levels, and there's a lot of shifts, and consciousness is going through a real what's the word? But there's a real transformation, and it's like maintenance. It's energy maintenance. And I've just recently kind of I was kind of going every now and then, but I've recently made a recommitment to self that once a month is what is needed.
Yeah.
And both myself and my energy healer agreed, like, yeah, just she's my mentor. She's one of my yeah, I trained under her. Like, she knows me so well, and we're intrinsically linked. And you need those people that are holding space for you, that
Yeah.
can turn the light and spot the stuff that you can't see because you're so in it. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what then I can then in turn do for others. And
Yeah.
it's like it's a real I love working with, I would say I'm probably, I really it's not that I don't like the term woo woo, but to me that's just not it for me. Like, that's just not. I've got the chickens coming to say hello. Hello, darlings. The birds.
Beck's
Um,
on the farm for people listening.
yeah. I'm on
She's
the
on.
farm and the animals are coming in. They're like, "What's she doing?" She's having a little meeting. Um, there are a lot of women that come to me that have had I guess I want to say trauma
Mm.
that has yet to be identified or looked at or spoken to. Perhaps it happened, a while ago in their life. Um, and but there are long lasting impacts on the psyche and on the energy. Um, and there is just there's a lot of that deep wound healing that is unraveling at the moment, like especially for women, I find, but it affects everyone.
Mm.
There is a lot of that. So there is a lot of kind of shifting from being a victim. This is a lot of what I do. It's just a slight reframe of being or feeling the victim,
Mm.
and to pivoting where your heart and your mind and your feet are facing towards a new direction of possibility. And even for people to just have that slight mind shift, things immediately, tangibly start to change in their life. I always work from the inside out.
Yeah.
Life is your creation, but it's the energetic alignment that creates your reality. So that's where I draw people back to. And for me, it's got to be tangible. I want to see people making changes in their life that roll out over the next
Mm.
year, 2 years, like that actually, roll through their life. That to me is where I feel like, okay, yes, like this is me doing my work, like
Mm.
when I can feel and see and sense, and they can look back and see the pivots and the changes and the slight and the very subtle shifts that have happened that have really reframed certain circumstances or situations where they feel less of a victim and more of an empowered co-creator of life. That's
Mm.
epic.
Absolutely. We've been working together for a couple of years now, as we've said, and as I said earlier on, we've both exchanged, services, with the added benefit of growing a really beautiful friendship. Um, I'd love you to share with my listeners, something that you and I have worked on together in your business that's been pivotal to your success and evolution.
Oh, there's so much, Shaz. I'm like,
It's
there's
been
a
a
lot.
ride.
I think I think back to when I think back to the beginning, I think what you really did for me is you recognized and highlighted my potential, where I probably would have been still hiding in the cave, um, thinking that I was still healing, um, and, being in bear mode. You really kind of made me step into the spotlight of my life and to claim it as a queen, as the queen of my life, as to put my crown on and to find my seat. You really held space for me to own that. And I'd never had that before. I'd never had that support and that I do that for others, right? That's what I do for others. That's what I
Absolutely.
did when I taught dance. Like that's what I
Absolutely.
do. I reflect back at your brilliance and how magnificent you are and your potential. And so to have someone do that for me was and you do it in a really tangible but yet intuitive way as well. Like you have a massive amount of intuition that you work from. Um, and
It's
that
my
really.
splenic authority for the people who like human design.
Right. Okay, there you go.
Definitely the splenic
It's so
authority that is very, very strong with the intuition. I freak
yeah.
myself out sometimes.
Mm. And I mean that's perfect. That's kind of what I needed too. Like I needed that sense of um kind of like a bit of a hug and a slap, like a push and a shove, like a bit of a like
Bite and a tickle.
yeah, yeah. And I just felt like it gave me the confidence to step forward initially when I was creating Rebecca Ross Sacred Biz, to really transform myself and to step forward into this, you were just so in my corner. And I just was like, and that really works for me because I guess in some way, I'm a people that is in service to others. So when someone is standing in my corner, I'm like, oh, bloody hell, I got to do it. Like, there she's waiting. Okay. Like, and it made me get out of my own way. It made me like, debrief all those stories or all the, like, what are people going to think? Like, there was a lot of that for me because of the
Because it was an
transformation.
identity change. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
identity. It was a shedding of a complete,
Yeah.
and for people who don't know, Beck and I live in a small regional town, quite a small town, and Beck's lived here all of her life. I haven't, I'm a blow-in, but Beck commands a certain level of authority and expectation in the community, and certainly an identity that she's held for a very, very long time. So it was a big shift, wasn't it? It's bigger than, it's bigger than, I would say, than for a lot of people, because of the nature of, the very successful studio that you've run, which was a very big studio in a small town. Not many people who don't know Rebecca Ross around here.
And I can imagine that they're all thinking, what the hell is she going on about? What is she doing? What is this?
Meanwhile, you had me in your corner going, go, do it.
Yeah. So I think I just wouldn't have, I don't even know if I would have done it, to be honest. Like, I knew I wanted to, I just would have kept it small. I was still playing small, and you kind of gave me the permission to really step into that space in a big, bright, bold manner. Because I'm all about, being a Libran as well. I don't like confrontation. I don't like making people feel uncomfortable, yet that's actually one of my gifts, to actually make people, kind of push people into a place where they start to get a bit like, ooh, and I'm like, come on, like, this is the way through. Like, like, this is where we go. This is how we go. So it's really, you really helped me to reclaim all of that. Let alone, you created my website, and I'm still so proud of it 2 years on. That I now edit it all the time, but it's just so beautiful. And it's like, it's just been such a gift to continue to work with you along your evolution and to receive the gifts of, your magic. I think we've been evolving together. As you said, we've been linking arms and trotting on down the yellow brick road to go visit the wizard. Like, it's as simple as that.
Love
it. The wizard is us.
We are the wizardesses. I love it. Yes. Oh, Beck, it's been so great chatting to you. Look, I've got 3 questions that I asked my guests wrapping up. So, and I know that this has been quite a long one for our listeners. So if you're still with us, I'm so glad. I know that people will get so much out of listening to, to Beck's story, because it's really powerful and it's inspirational. Beck, how would your parents describe what you do for a living now?
That's so funny. I think my mum would just be all like wooshy and gooshy and just like, oh, she does this and I don't know what, I think they'd kind of be like, I don't know what she does, but she's, she does this, and then she works with the women here, and then she does guidance, and then she teaches yoga, and then she has this amazing movement class. And I think, my dad's very, he would say to me, how's your programs going? And yes, how's your clients? And like, I don't think he actually has any idea of what's happening. So I don't know. I know my mom is really proud of what I do. Yeah, she always has been. She's been very supportive and proud. And from when it was Dance Studio days to transitioning into what this is, she stands beside me, just kind of, and I don't think she even has to know what it is. She just kind of stands there,
Yeah.
Just space. Yeah.
Yeah, celebrating the online. Oh, look, she's online. She's doing wonderful
Oh, there
things.
she is. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
She's
So
again.
funny, isn't
What's
it?
she doing? I actually have no idea.
I can't wait for the time that I have a guest who can actually say, oh, my parents can articulate really well what I do, but I don't think I'm ever going to have someone on here who has that answer.
Yeah.
What has been the most joyous part of your life and business journey to date?
I would say for me at the moment, because joy is a real thing that is a tangible life force energy that I really like to tap into. Um, my life needs to be infused with joy, and for me, it's the reclaiming of movement. It's reclaiming of teaching and stepping into the space of running this beautiful kind of open movement class weekly. Those ladies, they don't know it, but they've helped me to heal my relationship with dance and movement and my body and creativity. And when you recalibrate yourself from owning a dance studio to then only being in this space where it's all about embodying joy, it's just the biggest gift. And every Tuesday night, it's just a blessing. And I go to sleep with a smile on my face. And, there is this real tangible energy, I guess, this real supportive, and they're probably the people that initially looked at me and were like, what is she doing? Like, what is she doing now? And now they're all like in this class and they're all,
They
so
get it.
supportive. Yeah,
Yeah.
they get it. They get it. And I think that is really
And it's equally
bringing joy.
life-changing for those women as an observer,
100%.
knowing the women
Yeah.
that you're talking about and, seeing, seeing what you bring out
Mm,
of them in those containers is really
mm.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, there just is, as I said, there's nothing more powerful than women coming together. And every time we do it, it's just like, I just feel the up level of it, the shift in energy, the clarity, the alignment, the purpose, just all of those things, you just feel it. So there's so much joy for me in that.
Mm.
Yeah, so much.
Love it. I love it. And teaching really is a gift of yours. It's a beautiful
Yes.
thing. And lastly, Beck, where can listeners find and follow you and
Oh,
perhaps even book a session?
yeah, yeah. So website, RebeccaRossSacredBiz.com. You'll find all my bits on there. There is one-to-one sessions that we can do online, which are really powerful, by the way. It's surprising how powerful it is. Yeah, I have a process of the way that I can do it online.
Mm.
Um, and there's a lot of reframing that can happen when we work online. A lot of intuitive energy that comes through um, online as well. It's just tapping into it in a different way. There is guidance, there's full moon guidance that happens. There is a free Facebook group that I have, Move, Heal, and Connect with Beck. And it really is just to support our intention to connect, to move our bodies, and to then in turn heal. I just find those two things, connection and movement, just by default, a healing. So for me, that's just a safe container to really offer the opportunity for those practices to come through. So yeah, and you can just reach out on the socials at Rebecca Ross Sacred Biz on Instagram and Facebook. I just love to have conversations, to be honest. So if anyone just wants to have a chat, I love to do that as well. Just to have a conversation, or if there's an aha moment from the podcast, the conversation that we've had today, just a little takeaway. I love
Yeah.
hearing that. It's amazing kind of feedback and affirmation, for me, that yeah, they're like little signs and themes and synchronicities when people have those moments of, yeah, I have that, or yes, that's true for me too. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it's been such a pleasure, as it always is. And, I feel really fortunate to not only have you as a client, but even more so to have you as a friend and someone in my corner, that I get to, I mean, there's very few clients that I work with who are living in Woolgoolga. So
Yeah. Yeah.
on the New South Wales mid-north coast. So it's really nice that we get to, see each other in person and work together in person at times. And I'm just so grateful to have you in my life. So thank you for joining me on today's episode. And for anyone listening, make sure you go and follow Beck, be inspired by her story, join her Facebook group. And, as I say, what she has to offer is for everybody. It's for the earthly humans that we are, who are grounded and wanting to become even more, conscious in the way and purposeful in the way that we move through life. So thank you, Beck. Absolutely love your work.
Thank you, beautiful.